The Community Television Consortium of Stark County presents this week's edition of What's Happening, the show about you, the people of Stark County. And now your host for tonight's program, Susie Vitale.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of What's Happening in Stark County. Our first guest this evening is Pat Miller, and Pat is the Early Childhood Supervisor at MRDD. And you're here to tell us about a new program you've got going.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, we have a program that's entitled Mobile SOS, and stands for help in one respect, and the other respect it really stands for Mobile Stark Outreach Services. And this new service is the result of a grant that I applied for and received to help families and their children birth through the age of 5 to access services throughout the entire county. And it's housed at our facility, but it's really for all the agencies in Stark County.
I see. Tell us a little bit about this new program.
Okay. There are 3 major components to it. One of them is the families have to access the service first, so they could call us at Eastgate at 875-3347. And one of our early childhood specialists, Margaret Williams, she's the hired personnel on board. And she will meet with the families and determine what the family priorities are through a family plan. And then if they're in need of any type of services through the county, whether it be family support services, assessment, or services such as occupational or speech therapy, or accessing immunization at the health department and so on, we want to help them link to other services throughout the county. And what's really exciting is that we can go out to the family's home once it's up and running, and we will take our computer and we will be networked to all these other agencies in the county that would like to come on board, and we will find out what services are available and what time. We'll have a print and give it to the family so they have it right there in their home.
Oh, that's incredible. That's wonderful. So you're going to be like a mobile
It's a mobile
service
unit
for all these people who cannot come to you.
Right, exactly. And we're really targeting families who live in the outlying regions of Stark County that may not be able to come in to our facility, to a regular daycare facility, to human services, to the health department, how we can access them in their, what we're calling their natural environment. They may be at a regular daycare center, and also perhaps as far as support services, a regular daycare teacher may need some information about a child with special needs. And so our special education early childhood specialists will help them with support services in that way. So we're really targeting families with children with special needs birth through the age of 5.
Oh, that's just what I was going to ask you.
Yes.
Birth through the age of 5.
Right.
So does that include the kindergarten age, the children that are 5 in kindergarten also?
Well, it could. We're really just targeting early intervention, which is birth through 2, and preschool ages 3 through 5.
Okay.
But if they're in need of transition services, what we might say to help them to look to other school districts, we can certainly help them with that too.
Okay. Now you have quite an early childhood program.
Right.
It's at Eastgate, correct?
At Eastgate, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm thrilled because in this last year and a half that I've been on board, we have really doubled the enrollment there. We're growing. We have, if you will, 2 sets of programs. Early intervention is, again, birth through 2, and we have an early childhood specialist, early intervention instructor, and support services, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy, and they're right there in the classroom as a play-based environment. And also we have preschool programming for children 3 through 5 with the same services, and there's no charge for any of those services, nor for the mobile unit.
Okay, what about the parents? Are the parents involved in these services also?
Well, that's an integral part of it all because it's really centered around family priorities and parent needs. We may see as a value something, you know, that we would like to help them out with, but if the parent doesn't see it as a priority, then we really don't push those values onto them, but we really try to link them to services that they feel they need for their family.
Okay, give us the number at Eastgate one more time.
Okay, Eastgate is at 875-3347, and you may ask for me, Pat Miller, or Margaret Williams.
And This is a great thing. This is really a great thing.
Well,
congratulations on your grant. That's wonderful. The grant is coming from where?
It's coming from the Stark County Family Council, and it's through Children Initiative funds, and we have a pocket of that money which I was able to write, and again, it's for supporting all of Stark County agencies, not just for our MRDD program.
Thank you, Pat, for being here tonight, and good luck.
Thank you for having me.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Our next guest is Barb Edwards, and Barb is the Assistant Vice President of Resource Management at Doctors Hospital. And Barb, you're here to tell us about a health check center that you have at the Canton Center.
Yes, Pat, I do appreciate being here. Our health check center, as you said, is in Canton Center Mall. This really is an outreach center hoping to serve a community need. Our purpose there is to do some screenings, different testing that can be a screen for different diseases. And I think we're going to talk about a specific one today, the PSA.
Right. First of all, tell us where it's located in the mall.
All right. To reach us in the mall, we are in a back hallway of Canton Center Mall. We're near the handicapped entrance. From the back of the mall, we would be between the movie theater and Kaufman's. We're almost in the middle there with an entrance. If you're coming to us from the main part of the mall, you go down right between, there's a hallway that goes down toward the back that ran beside the dime store.
Okay, sure, I know right where that is. Okay. Now we're going to talk about PSA testing today, which is testing for prostate cancer.
Yes, PSA stands for prostate specific antigen. And very simply what this is the newest testing available that does allow a very early identification of the possibility of a prostate cancer. In the past, the methodology involved a physical exam and perhaps a surgical procedure. They've developed more recently now a blood test, and it is as simple as that, as having your blood drawn. It does entail having your blood drawn as opposed to a finger stick that you may be familiar with. But it's a very quick procedure and truly not a painful one, no different than any other blood test.
And this test can find this cancer in its very early stages, correct?
Yes, and they feel it identifies it in even an earlier stage than perhaps a physical exam. This is not to be considered as excluding the need for a physical exam, perhaps, but we find that men are much more comfortable, more readily agreeable to have a blood test done, and is found to be certainly very, very accurate in its determination. The results you get are numerically reported, and it's a matter of 4, 5, 6, 7s on up. And the more elevated the level, certainly of greater concern, but there's a normal level. The test is able to be resulted within approximately 3 days. The results generally come back to us at Health Check Center, and anybody can come back and pick up their results, or we can mail them out to them. We can mail them to their doctor if they request.
Okay. Now, what's the cost involved in this?
The charge at Health Check Center is $30 for this this particular blood test. There's really a very wide range of charges for this, depending upon where it's done. Ours is considerably less than some of the others. I do think it's only fair that I mention, because of the setup and because of what we do, we are basically on a cash basis at Family Health Check because of our lower charges. We do take a MasterCard or Visa or a check or cash, but we don't fill out insurance papers there. We really don't have all of the computer support you would need to do that.
Okay. I was reading the other night an article about this, and it said that 1 in every 10 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer sometime in their lifetime. I was amazed. I had no idea.
I think
high.
people don't appreciate how high that number can be, and what involvement it can be. And I think the importance of that is certainly age related. I think it's very fair to say now, with the simplification of this testing, the availability of it, that men 40 and over really owe it to themselves and their families to have that as a rather regular test base.
And how often?
Generally, it's recommended as a yearly test, not more frequently than that. And certainly, I think for peace of mind and the rest of it, certainly we have a number of wives who bring their husbands in for this test, and I think even that is a loving gesture.
Right, absolutely. Thank you for being here tonight. Before you go, give us the phone number for anyone to call if they want to find out more about this.
Okay, the number at Family Health Check is 478-6124. And it is advised, while you don't have to be fasting for this test, the matter of meals is not important. We do ask that you call for that appointment because of having the availability of somebody to draw the blood at the time. So we do it by schedule preferably.
Okay, and they could also call Doctors Hospital too, 837-7200.
That is the main number of the hospital. Okay. That's correct.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Our next guest is John Gasper, and John, you've been out to California.
Yes, I have.
Work with the flood victims.
Yes.
And you've got some really interesting stories, so go ahead and tell us about it.
Okay. Myself and 5 other volunteers left here the mid of January and traveled to San Francisco. I was assigned to Guerneville, which is about 90 miles north of San Francisco, where the most significant damage occurred. All the national news carried Guerneville. If you can imagine, the flood stage was 48.6 over flood. So you take any of our trees out front of this building and imagine Clorox bottles and toilet paper and all those kinds of things in the very top of the tree. That's how high the water was.
That's hard to imagine.
It really is. It really is. Yes. Unless you're there, you really can't understand that. We had about 1,420 families affected. 60% of those families were on public assistance. 60% of those families were homosexual. And the other 40% were what we called tree people, by the title of what the community had given them. They actually live in a forest in the trees.
That's incredible.
It is. We had one gentleman that had taken an airplane shell and drawn it up in the trees, and he lived in an airplane in a tree.
Wow.
Or they lived underground in tents. One gentleman came in and we sent a worker out, and all he wanted was clothes and food and a bale of straw because his straw got wet. He didn't have anywhere to sleep.
Isn't that something?
So it was very contrasting from one moment to the other. Sure. You really didn't know what you normally were going to deal with. We normally deal with food, clothing, and shelter immediately to any families that are affected. But all of a sudden, we were dealing with a monumental number of homeless, and that is not a responsibility of the American Red Cross. Now they're homeless because the forest is wet, and they don't have a permanent place to stay. We had to choose and decide how we were going to handle that, and we ended up buying a large quantity of tents and sleeping bags and issuing those out to people once we verified they actually had some loss and lived in the forest.
Now where'd you put the tents, though?
Well,
in high ground?
That was up to their discretion. We physically gave them a box that had a tent in and sleeping bags one for each person, and they went back into the wilderness and set up housekeeping once again.
Oh my goodness.
Guerneville was like if you were still in the 60s They had the Volkswagen buses with the beads and the tie-dyed shirts, and all. It's like they never left the 60s.
Isn't that something?
It was quite an experience.
Now, you've been on quite a few of these.
Yes, that was my number 26
That's
national
unreal.
assignment.
Tell us what's going on out there now.
Out there now, for the last couple weeks, the flooding has reoccurred. There's 34 counties again that are affected. Some 4,700 families that are affected right now. We opened up 66 shelters. Only about 20 of those remain to be open, with about 1,300 families total in those shelters. We've sent out 33 feeding vans. We call them ERVs. They're emergency respond vehicles. And they go around serving hot meals to the victims, to the workers, to whoever's helping in the flood. This flood will also affect Arizona, Texas, Utah, and Montana. So now we have 5 states that will be affected with these waters. It's going to be an overwhelming, again, a monumental job for us in manning with volunteers and staff. Won't be anything that we can't handle, but it'll press us once again to be able to do that. Plus the dollars. Any assistance that's given by Red Cross is free. I shouldn't use that because nothing is free. It's a grant because you and I donate to the American Red Cross. And I encourage anyone and everyone to either donate to the Red Cross or Salvation Army, Church of the Brethren, or the Friends Church, or the Amish organization, anyone that helps in disaster. And please do not send in-kind donations. It's the worst thing that can happen. If you can imagine just being flooded out and you're hungry, and I say, go ahead and get that case of corn over there. Of course, you have no power, you have no gas, you have nothing. What do you do with a case of corn?
Right.
It's absolutely useless at that moment.
Yeah. Give us the Red Cross number in case someone's interested in helping you out. Or
453-0146.
Great. Well, thank you for being with us tonight.
It's been my pleasure.
It sounds like a terrific experience you had.
Was.
Wow. Thank you for helping out.
You're welcome.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Hi, we're back, and we're back with Evelyn Moore, who is from the North Canton Playhouse, and Dottie DeFrance, who is from the APG. You're going to tell us about a benefit that you're going to be having here coming up. When is it, first of all?
It is April 8th. 10th. The 10th. I'm sorry, I don't even know the date. That's I'm good.
And it's a production that you're putting on at the Playhouse.
Yes, it's at the North Canton Playhouse, and it's a benefit on behalf of the Animal Protection Guild.
Right.
And all the proceeds from the sale of the play go directly to the Animal Protective Guild. The Playhouse gets nothing for this, so we're happy to do it.
I forgot to introduce Rex, which is your dog.
Yes, right. Rex is my dog. It's making a lot of noise.
Tell us a little bit about the play. The name of it is Run for Your Wife?
Yes, it's a British comedy, and it's about a taxi cab driver who has 2 wives. And it's actually a calamity of errors. Essentially, he gets caught by a police officer, and he tries to explain his way out of this with not very much success.
Okay. Now, if anyone wants tickets for this, what is the number they can call?
They need to call 494-1613 for reservations, and tickets are $8.
Okay, great. Now, Dottie, tell us a little bit about the APG.
Well, Animal Protection Guild is an organization of all volunteers. We are a nonprofit, and our primary focus is to provide a low-cost spay-neuter program for people in Stark County to have their cats and dogs altered.
Okay, and you've gotten together in conjunction with the Playhouse.
That's right. The Playhouse director, Mary McManaway, also happens to be a member of Animal Protection Guild and an animal lover herself, and she has worked on this idea for quite some time, and it has now come to fruition for us.
Wonderful. Where is the Playhouse located?
The Playhouse is located on Wise Avenue in North Canton. There's a small shopping center. It's 6650 Wise Avenue.
If no one has ever been there, the first time I walked in there, I was so amazed because you've only got a few rows and you're like right on the stage. You're like part of the production.
Right.
It's just such a unique experience.
It's almost, what I tell people is it's like watching television, watching a play as if it were in your own living room. That's how intimate it is. I think there are 52 seats in the theater. There's not a bad seat in the house.
No, there isn't.
And you directly interact with the audience.
You do, and it's just really incredible. Kids love it.
They do.
Kids just really like that. Sometimes it's a little intimidating for adults when they first go in there, but it really is a unique experience. Well, now the spray and neuter program, if someone wants to get a hold of you for that, Dottie, what number would they call?
There is a telephone number, which is a recorded message. It's 484-2974. That will give the details of how to find out about contacting the veterinarian, what the costs are, and how to get the forms and that sort of thing that one would need to proceed with.
Right. Great. And this is again on April 10th.
Yes.
Okie doke.
April 10th.
Great. Thanks for being here this evening. We'll be right back. Our next two guests are John Sparks and George Payne, and you're here to tell us about a production that's going to be at Malone College. And when is that?
The last week of March, the first week of April, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights of both weeks,
All right.
plus a Saturday afternoon matinee on the second.
Good. And the name of this production is?
Along Came a Frenchman.
Okay, you want to tell us about it?
The setting is Zor in the early 1800s, and Zor was one of the communes that were rather faddish in the 1800s. There were some 80 of them in the United States, and it lasted longer than most because it had a religious base, plus they all spoke German and was sort of a German-speaking group and like an island in the midst of English-speaking people. So they stayed together longer, and I wanted to write a story about why all of these communes failed, and they all failed for the same reason, which will be shown in the story.
Okay. This is really interesting. Are you from this area, John?
Yes.
Okay. Because people around here all know all about Zor. I mean, we're familiar with Zor.
I thought I knew all about it too. I have an ancestor who was buried there, I was told, and when I mentioned this to Kathy Fernandez, who's the head of the Zor Historical Society, said, "You have 4 of them buried
Oh my
there."
goodness. So isn't that something?
it is a romantic comedy, humor, fun, music, thanks to the magic of George Payne.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the music.
Certainly, yes. I first met John, oh my goodness, it's been a while now, 6, 7 years ago. And we began collaborating. John, of course, wrote all of the lyrics and the music. And so I became involved in terms of arranging and bringing the thing onto the stage. So it's been quite an interesting challenge. We've been at it for some time. We're really quite excited at the opportunity to see it come alive on stage. You know, you spend a lot of time imagining, well, how could this work and how would that work? And when you actually get it on stage with real live characters, it's quite a challenge. But we're really enjoying it, having a good time.
Great. Now, this is at Malone College in the theater there.
Yes.
That's in the main building.
They've done a lot of renovation to the theater for this.
Is that right?
Oh, yes, it's quite nice.
Great. How would someone get tickets or the times and the dates of performances?
The tickets are available at the bookstore at Malone College, and the number is 471-8310.
Okay. And so they could just call there and reserve their seats, and they'd
Yes.
find out the dates and the times and everything. Okay. What is the cost for the tickets?
On Wednesday and Thursday nights, it's $7, Friday and Saturday, $8.
Okay, and you say, I think there is one matinee
Yes.
on Saturday?
On Saturday, the 8th,
Okay.
the last day of the performance.
Okay. Well, we're really glad you're here today, and it's so nice to learn more about our area. And I know so many people have been to Zoar. We visit Zoar. We go down there. We take the historical tours and everything, but it's always nice to know a little bit more.
And they will learn this through a lot of fun and entertainment.
That's wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
We're looking forward to seeing it. We'll be right back with the calendar of events. If your funny bone can stand the strain, then you won't want to miss the North Canton Playhouse's production of Run for Your Wife. It's running April 6th through the 22nd, Thursdays through Saturday. And the Playhouse also has a program called Spotlight on Youth. It's an educational outreach program on the North Canton Playhouse. They've received grant monies from the Ridgecliff Foundation of Akron to be used to present educational dramas dealing with substance abuse and AIDS in the Summit County and Stark County schools. The grant period is in effect now, and it runs until February 1st of next year. So if you'd like information on either one of these, you can call the Playhouse at 494-1613. An artisan fair featuring quality crafters will be held Saturday, April 1st from 10 until 4:30 at the Pleasant View School for the Arts. They're located at 3000 Columbus Road. There will be a raffle of craft items, a bake sale, free gift wrapping, and face painting. New this year will be Bunny Lane, where children may do a craft project and have their pictures taken with the Easter Bunny. Lunch will also be available. Proceeds benefit the Pleasant View PTO. For further information, call 497-6002. The 1995 gun buyback program will be held again on Saturday, May 20th from 8 in the morning until noon. There's going to be two locations. One is at the Canton Memorial Civic Center at 1101 Market Avenue North, and the other one is going to be the Canton Urban League Community Center. That's also called the Southeast Community Center at 1400 Sherrick Road Southeast. The GOTS program benefits the entire community by removing the potential to have a life lost because of a gun in a house or on the street, and there will be no questions asked. If you want more information on this, you can call the Canton Rotary Club at 452-2882. The Junior League of Canton is holding its annual Woman of the Year Luncheon Wednesday, April 26th at 10 o'clock. The theme is String of Pearls. Entertainment will be provided by John Trapani's Big Band, and the actress Rachel Harker will be there also. For an invitation, you can call the Junior League office at 453-1263. It's all city night at the Field House for alumni basketball teams from Lincoln, Timken, Lehman, and McKinley High Schools on April 7th at 7 o'clock. Cheer for your alumni team with alumni cheerleaders and pep bands. Tickets are $3 at the door. All proceeds will benefit the 4 alumni scholarship funds. For more information, get a hold of Jim Mitchell. His number is 484-6091. The committee for the 6th Annual Stark County Women's Hall of Fame dinner, sponsored by the Canton YWCA, is now accepting nominations for the awards ceremony to be held at the Canton Hilton in May. If you know a woman of exceptional achievement in our community in the areas of education, business and industry, human services, the arts or sports, please call the Canton YWCA at 453-7644, and they'll be glad to send you a nomination form. A very special congratulations to our good friend Pat Fellman. Pat has received 3 awards from the state of Ohio for her outstanding work at the MRDD. Pat has also been a vital part and an asset to our community television consortium. Congratulations, Pat, from all of us here. If your nonprofit club or organization would like to appear on What's Happening in Stark County, or you'd like to have their announcements on the calendar, you can write to us, the Community Television Consortium, Post Office Box 8335, that's Canton, Ohio. The zip is 44711, or you can give us a call at 493-8925. We air on Warner Cable, Channel 11 on Tuesdays at 6 and Thursdays at 6:30, and we air on Maslin Cable, Channel 50 on Thursdays at 7:30. Thank you for being with us tonight on another edition of What's Happening in Stark County.